Welcome to the Simple Doesn't Mean Easy podcast. We are here weekly working at simplifying things in our lives, one day at a time, one simple step at a time. I'm your host, Michelle Visser, and today we're talking about something very near and dear to my heart, something that I definitely battle annually and something that I have figured out some really simple ways to be more equipped and more armed against it. We're talking about seasonal depression and 6 very simple things that you can actually add to your food or your drinks, just simple, really simple ways to change your diet. And that sounds way too dramatic, guys. Not changing your diet. That shouldn't be what I said. Just simple adaptogens and botanicals you can be adding in to your drinks or your food that really make a difference in seasonal depression. So I'm glad you're here. Did you know your favorite perfume is probably loaded with chemicals? It's because some of the most loved fragrances in perfume, like jasmine and sandalwood, are very expensive if companies are sourcing them naturally. So, the big perfume companies, wanting the best bottom line, rely on lab made synthetics to mimic the expensive natural options. And here we are spraying and slathering endocrine disruptors all over our skin, the largest organ of our body. But I want to introduce you to a company that is doing it differently. Use code soulyrested to save at hearthandhomesteadstore.com. In a world where even the companies that are calling themselves natural perfume companies rely on lab created synthetics, this small business is taking a stand and they're doing it right. Use code soulyrested at hearthandhomesteadstore.com. Before we even really start today, though, I want to make sure I stop and I explain. I know there are times when people absolutely do need prescription antidepressant drugs, and they are a very good thing for the people who desperately need them. I do not want to knock that. I don't want to belittle it. And I want to make sure that I make it clear. I know that serious depression is very real. I'm not talking about the seasonal depression, but the true depression. And that is something that you absolutely should work with your medical provider. And like I said, antidepressant drugs are, they're a godsend to some people. They are life-saving. So I don't want to belittle that. I do think that there are a lot of people who are on drugs like that that don't need to be. I think a lot of doctors aren't even well versed in helping a patient understand all the different factors that can lead to depression. And when they all pile up together, it can be just a horrible big storm that truly makes someone very depressed. But a better way to get out of that hole sometimes is to improve your lifestyle, to get more daily exercise, to improve what you're eating, have more real foods. And all of those things actually can make a difference. And I'm not even going to scratch the surface on that today. In fact, this is going to be a shorter episode than usual. Um, so I'm going to just whiz through these 6 things that, because I want to keep this simple, 6 things that you might see make a huge difference if you are someone who battles specifically seasonal depression. Here in New England, I know I talk about it often, we have such long winters and we have such long periods of time where we really don't get to spend time in the sun. And it can lead to true seasonal depression. I had a friend the other day ask me if I've talked about this on the podcast and if I had any suggestions for her. And right away, I told her, I have something I'm going to bring you. I'm going to bring you a sample of my hot chocolate for you to try. So that got me thinking about this episode. And some of the 6 things I'm going to mention are all in this hot chocolate, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's back up. Let me look at my list here. And I'm going to start with something that I think most people think is disgusting. I'm going to start with kale. And I know a lot of people don't like eating kale. I personally would never eat kale as like a side vegetable with my meal. I wouldn't. But I grow kale. I've been growing it for years. And I really like it in the way that I'm going to explain. First of all, There is a phytochemical that is produced by plants that has a lot of health benefits for humans. And this isn't just in kale. You can get this in other foods too. Kale is the one I'm choosing to put in my list of 6 today. Um, but I believe it's pronounced quercetin. Quercetin is this phytochemical, and it's a flavonoid. It's a type of a plant pigment that gives color to the fruit or the vegetable, and it is found in the leaves and the skin of the plant, and it is produced even more the more it's exposed to light. And we can only find it in plants. So if you're not eating enough vegetables, right there could be a slight problem if you're battling depression. This phytochemical, quercetin, is actually a natural antidepressant. It increases the amount of serotonin and dopamine that our brain produces. And it can be found in things like apples, berries, grapes, onions, green tea, which I think I might do a whole episode just about tea because tea is fascinating in how it can impact our psyche and our mind and our depression if we are tending towards that. Tea actually makes a difference, but I'm going to save that, I think, for a different episode. Um, and kale. Kale has this phytochemical. Kale actually is a more gentle taste if you dehydrate it and powder it. And when I tell people that I use kale powder in a whole lot of ways daily, they go, "Ooh, that's gross. Doesn't that like make things taste bad?" For some reason, when you dehydrate it and powder it and add it in small amounts, you really don't get the kale taste. So it's pretty amazing. You can get all the benefits of kale without the taste if you don't care for it. So I will dry my leaves, powder them up, store them away in a sealed jar, and I will pull it out every day and I will add kale to things like my protein shakes or my smoothies. I put it in my scrambled eggs every single time I'm making scrambled eggs. I sprinkle it over cooked vegetables. You can even put it a little bit in your casserole dishes, put it in your meatloaf, sprinkle it over your tossed salad, put it in your spaghetti sauce. The list goes on and on and on. And just a half a teaspoon of powder is the equivalent of a whole serving of fresh kale. So you can sprinkle half a teaspoon in your eggs. Don't notice the taste, and it's like getting a whole serving of kale. And it packs such a huge punch. You get 9% of your daily amount of calcium that you need to have. Looking at my list here, you get 206% of the daily amount of vitamin A, 134% of vitamin C, and 684% of vitamin K. It's crazy. So if you don't know how to dehydrate kale, let me tell you about Dehydrating Academy. Go to soulyrested.com/dehydrate and find out about my Dehydrating Academy. It will teach you everything you need to know about so much more than just kale powder, but the kale powder is a huge bonus. And use code soulyrested. No, podcast. Use code podcast. That's what it is. And I have special savings just for you. soulyrested.com/dehydrate and use code podcast. By the way, just a quick reminder, I want to pause and remind you, if you are still in need of some last minute holiday shopping, make it intentional, make it gifts that are going to be not only really well received by the recipient, but ones that are going to encourage them in some way with more family time, with better hobbies, with more health and nutrition in their life. I have a whole list for you. And there's a slew of discount codes there as well. And some of them even include free shipping. Go check out the list. It is at soulyrested.com/holiday. So go to SOULY rested.com/holiday and check out some of the inspiring ideas there. I think you're going to see a lot of things that you love. Go check out the list, soulyrested.com/holiday. Have you seen the new grain mill on the market that I've been talking about? If you've been wanting to stop using the dead flour that has been sitting on your store shelf for who knows how long, and if you want to start milling your own nutrient dense flour that's going to add 40 out of the 44 essential nutrients to your food, go to soulyrested.com/flour. SOULY rested.com/FLOUR. Guys, go check out the 4 grain mills that I share there. These are grain mills that I have tested thoroughly and I highly recommend. You can skim through my exhaustive guide for choosing the best grain mill, and you can make 2025 the year that your flour is truly the best it can be. Go to soulyrested.com/flour. Use my exclusive saving codes that you'll find there. Start milling your own flour for as little as $179. Go check it out. soulyrested.com/flour. Okay, so kale is the first thing. The second thing that I want to mention is turmeric. Turmeric is a spice that has been shown to do some crazy things, really awesome things when it comes to our health. It can, and this is like been shown in studies, improve our memory, reduce our inflammation, which is a huge thing towards depression. If your body is inflamed, you are going to be battling depression. Turmeric also relieves arthritis pain. It fights the free radicals in our body, which of course is going to prevent cancer, and it fights depression. Now, you do want to combine turmeric with pepper. You need about 20 milligrams of pepper to 2 grams of turmeric and mix them up because without that, the turmeric is not well absorbed in our body. So those two things work together beautifully. The next one, number 3, is Tulsi basil. I learned about this when I started drinking an iced tea, and I will actually link this specific tea in the show notes because I can't think of what it's called right now. But it is absolutely delicious as an iced tea, especially in the summer. It just is so refreshing. And I also have a coupon code for you. So I'll put that in the show notes. You know what? I will also put that. I'm just now thinking at soulyrested.com/botanicals because I'm going to tell you, I was going to mention later to go to that page anyway. So I will put the Tulsi basil tea I'm talking about at soulyrested.com/botanicals, a link and a discount code for you. But when I started drinking this tea, I just really loved it. And I looked at what the ingredients were and I started to research a little bit about the ingredients because I was like, oh, interesting. They put basil in this. Why did they put basil in it? I didn't know this before. And maybe I'm the last person, maybe everybody listening already knew this, but I did not know that Tulsi basil was a medicinal herb. And I mean, I know all herbs are so good for us, but I didn't know specifically what Tulsi basil did. It helps you fight off pathogens. It improves your memory, improves your brain functions. It reduces your stress level. So we're getting towards the idea of helping with depression, right? And it drastically can help with depression. It also eases joint pain and lowers blood sugar level. And again, combats those free radicals and combats cancer. So many reasons to add Tulsi basil into your day. And I realized after drinking this tea, oh, I could add this to any tea that I make. So any tea blend that I make or any tea blend that I buy, if I'm using a loose leaf tea, it's very easy to add just a little bit. Like I'm talking like an eighth of a teaspoon or a quarter of a teaspoon, a little bit of Tulsi basil to the drink. You don't notice the taste of it. And at least I don't, depending on what the tea is that you're drinking. And it is just one little tiny way to add so much to what you're drinking. Number 4, I actually grew this summer, ashwagandha. I saw the plant at my local nursery and I thought, I don't think I can grow this here, but it's at my local nursery. So maybe they know something I don't know. But I believe it's usually grown in a southern climate. Like I think it's really prevalent in Africa, actually. But I said, well, I'm going to give it a try. Why not? If not, $6 wasted and a little bit of space in my garden, but I'm going to try it. I'm so glad I did. I actually wound up able to divide it, put it in 2 separate beds, worried that one soil might not be right for it or the amount of sunshine might not be right. So I separated it. Both of them did okay. One did better than the other. So I was glad I divided them. And then what you can use the leaves as well. I did save the leaves, haven't played with them yet, but the roots is what I really wanted. You can dehydrate the roots, roast them, and crush them and use them in all kinds of ways. You can make a powder out of them, which is how I've been using ashwagandha for years. I will buy the powder. It is used in Chinese medicine. It's been used for thousands of years. Chinese medicine like is all over ashwagandha and how good it is. It relieves pain and inflammation. And again, remember what I told you, if you are reducing your inflammation, you are absolutely going to be reducing your depression simultaneously. A lot of times people don't tell you that, but they go hand in hand. And it just helps you feel better overall. It's been shown to help our bodies manage stress better. So if you have a particularly stressful day, it can help you to actually kind of double up on the amount of ashwagandha you're putting in your cup of tea that morning. For maximum benefit, they say an ideal dose is only about a quarter to a half a teaspoon a day. Next one. So what is this, number 5 now? Lion's mane. This is a powdered form of a mushroom, and it helps with cognitive health, and it reduces anxiety, and you got it, depression. You only need about a half a teaspoon a day. You can take up to a teaspoon a day, and it does some really great things. And is this the 6th one now? I think this is our 6th one. Told you it was going to be a short episode. Maca powder. Maca is a vegetable that contains fiber and amino acids and vitamins and minerals, and you only need about a half a teaspoon or up to a teaspoon a day to get these great benefits. It happens to be a great source of iodine, which I love because that is a needed trace mineral that is not in my salt that I use, my Redmond salt. Done a couple episodes about that. It does not have additional iodine, so I'm always loving if I find a way to add just a little bit extra iodine to my diet. And maca powder, this is the cool thing about it. It has a nutty, kind of almost butterscotch-like taste. That's the thing, by the way, when you're adding any of these things, you have to keep in mind, well, first of all, you can add a small amount, so you barely taste it. And also, you keep in mind the benefits, and it outweighs the, oh, there is a slight difference in my taste of what I'm drinking here. But you also get used to it. You get acclimated to the taste of it. But none of them are gross, none of them at all. But maca powder, that's an added bonus that it is kind of butterscotch tasting. So it pairs really well with my hot chocolate, which I told you I was going to get to. This is the way that I have found to add, is it 3 of these or 4 of these? 4 of these. And you know what? I could put Tulsi basil in there. I've never really tried. I'm not going to put kale in it. That might be going too far. Although sometimes I do put seaweed and kelp in it. So maybe I could put kale. Maybe I need to try that. Well, currently, typically, 3 of these I have in my hot chocolate: the ashwagandha, the lion's mane, and the maca powder. And that maca powder adds an extra yum to the hot chocolate. But it is a hot chocolate mix that I have put together with adaptogens and cacao powder and just good stuff. Go to soulyrested.com/hot chocolate. You know what? I should have just started the whole episode telling you that, because that's really all you need to know. You just need some amazing hot chocolate in your day that has at least 3 of these wonderful beneficial plants in it. And it's going to help you get through the seasonal depression this winter. I've been drinking this for a couple of years now, and I'm not kidding. I see a difference. There's other things important too, of course. I'm exercising more this winter than ever, actually. I hope I stick with it, getting to the gym 2 or 3 times a week and doing some strength training. You know what? We're going to do an episode, I think, in January, talking about that, about my thoughts about the gym, because I was never a gym person ever. And my thoughts about strength training at my age, because I sometimes feel really stupid at the gym. You know, you're surrounded by all these 25-year-old, amazingly in shape people. And here I am, 55. Am I 56? I can never remember my age, guys, because it really doesn't matter. But here I am with my gray hair in my 50s, doing my strength training, and I feel out of place. But we're going to talk about that next month and why I'm doing it and how I see a difference and how it's improving things. Okay, so go to, I didn't actually mention the botanical page again, did I? There's more good stuff there, actually. I just chose these 6 to talk about today, but also go to soulyrested.com/botanicals for more information about botanicals. Go to soulyrested.com/hot chocolate, get that recipe. And I'm linking, that's another thing you might be asking. Well, Michelle, where do I get this stuff? I link to all of it at soulyrested.com/hot chocolate or the botanical page, one or the other. You'll find everything I've been talking about. And it's all really good stuff. And it's so simple to do this, guys. It really is. So I hope that helps. If any of you are battling seasonal depression or know somebody who struggles with it, get that person some hot chocolate. It'll help. It really will. So thanks for listening, friends. Remember, it's easy to forget how blessed we are to live this life. So enjoy the simple, everyday efforts. It's not always easy, but it is a good life.